Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi, and today I have another incredible Players Cup 4 team report with another very special guest. We have Daffel. Daffel, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm really excited to hear about your awesome team because I've seen you at the very top of the Pokemon Showdown ladder very consistently, but I've never gotten a chance to speak with you before. So I guess. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself before we begin?
Yeah, I'm Daffel from Finland. I started playing VGC in 2016, I think. I played like Gen 4 Smogon, but then took a break for Gen 5 and then got back in at the end of 2016.
And I know that I started seeing you towards the top of the ladder at the very beginning of Series 8 with a really cool Dittoization team with Umbreon on it. I think you were one of the first people to use Umbreon back in Series 8. And you just continue to innovate, continue to build these really cool teams. And I'm really excited to hear how you built this team because this is so unorthodox, so out of left field. Can you talk me through how you came up with this team?
Yeah, sure. The basic concept of, let's start with that. I didn't even think I was going to make Players Cup 4 at the first because I got 1,625 rating or something like that. So I thought this was way too low for the top 25-6. And then, so I kind of hastily put together the basics of every team I built. So Whimsicott and InDD have been good for me for the whole 2020 and 21 seasons. So I basically slapped on them at the start of the team building as they had just complement each other as a support duo. Mm-hmm. Then, because I knew I didn't have time to build a proper Trick Room answer, I slapped in Gardevoir as I used it before in Series 7 as a Trick Room imprison thing. From there, it was experimenting what meta was and how to maybe take something on, a bit more unusual that could still be actual thing and not a gimmick. The Naganadel was probably the big innovation on the team in the end. It opened up so many game plans on just get a beast boost at some point, and then a lot of the more passive Grimmsnarl, Spectrier, Suicide leads couldn't do anything when you got +2 suddenly, and then you just started sweep.
Yeah. So it looks like you started out with a Lapras originally.
Yeah, I thought about going also the bulkier route of same way the basically this concept of set up screens and then just weather out the other opponent's Dynamax and then win. But I realized I lost every passive lead that just started to spam snarls and intimidates, or well, not intimidates on this one, but still the passive gameplay of just Grimmsnarl and some Snarl spammer Incineroar, Spectrier, anything like that would instantly shut down. Lapras would get 0 knockouts, and then I used Dynamax. Then Marowak was there to just originally to be a pseudo a Trick Room mode for the team, but it changed around to be a more offensive in Tailwind kind of mon. But I think that's the overall team. We could go to more specific Pokemon spreads now.
Yeah, I mean I can definitely see obviously Indeedee Hatterene is a really common combination, and you've decided why use such a slow Pokemon when you can just go faster. Gardevoir hits just as hard and doesn't need to Dynamax. You can imprison Trick Room, so that's really cool. And the Marowak in Trick Room is still really scary against faster teams, right?
Yeah.
You still have that option, even though, and you're going to set up just as consistently as anything else. So that's really cool. I like the Naganadel change too. I definitely see what you're saying about punishing passive teams, because I know that when I was running like Kartana into Grimmsnarl teams, I had the same philosophy where,
Yeah.
okay, you can set up one screen. I'm going to get my +1 boost. And we're basically going to, like, we've traded equally, like we were both the +1.
Yeah,
but I took a KO. And that's a favorable trade for me. And so Naganadel does the same thing, but gets the
even
+2.
better. Yeah, and it's better because you get +2. And also, like, you can do stuff like if you can do it with Air Slash or like any of your other max moves, you get the +1, the special attack, and the other +1.
Yeah, and so Naganadel, I think it actually doesn't it have a higher speed stat than special attack?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be modest to get the special attack boosts, which is a bit of a shame, but the speed there is still good.
So yeah, do you know what speed it hits when it's modest? I know it's base 121. Normally.
Yeah, it's 173, so it's bits faster than Naganadel's and stuff like that. No, I'm not Naganadel's, Nihilegos and Guard Chomps, stuff like that. So you still get the Tread and Guard Chomp with Dragon Meteor or Dynamax and Max Vermwind.
Yeah, that's still really important because I guess like Thundurus has kind of dropped down in usage, at least the Defiant Thundurus, and so you don't need to outspeed that nearly as much anymore. And Garchomp is really the next fastest thing, other than maybe Kartana.
Yeah, and like Nihilego, but like Nihilego isn't that common anymore. Like when people stopped using the Nihilego Urshifu team.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever feel the need to have like a Max Guard or Protect on the Life Orb Naganadel? Or
definitely, like the team could use like 3 more protects, but like none of them have the move slots. Like you need the Dragon Meteor to have something to hit Landorus and other like they have the high damage stab, and then like you need Flamethrower to not get screwed over by like any Registeel setups and stuff like that. Like you need the Max Flare. Also, Max Flare gives you options when in open team sheets that opponent has Goba Berry. You like the normal Venusaur and Among Us both have like weakness to air or like Max Airstream and Max Flare. So you choose like what berry they have, and you just knock them out anyway with one shot. Yeah.
That's definitely really really important. I guess you also just have the trick or the switcheroo on Whimsicott, so you also have that option to get rid of their item. Can you talk to me through why you chose this Whimsicott set?
I just want Gardevoir to have the Gardevoir needed the focus sash to like secure me the imprison on turn 1, and then like I think Edge Button is the second best thing, and it also gives a lot of like the common like things that would stop Naganadel. Don't you really take it well if you switcheroo them like Eject Button and suddenly they can Dynamax. Like Landers, for example, like you just can't do anything anymore. Like, and there are other leads too and then also like there's additional things like stealing focus sashes from stuff like, for example, Water Urshifu. You take the focus sash away, and then you just knock it out with something else instantly.
Yeah, and then you just got the focus sash Whimsicott anyways.
Yeah.
And so I guess the eject button is normally, people think of it as a ladder strategy, right? A best of 1 strategy. But you obviously were playing in an open team sheet best of 3 format in Players Cup and did very well despite everyone seeing the eject button coming. So how do you think that translated to the open team sheet environment?
I think Eject Button is kind of underrated on like open team sheets because some of the power comes when the opponent knows that it's coming, so you can like actually predict that they know you can switcheroo them. So they have to respect, like for example, Colossals have to respect just Whimsicott being there because you can just switcheroo out their weakness policy if they try to self-proc. So they suddenly you have much more better way of like just maybe attack twice on the Urshifu because they don't want to, self Aqua Jet only to, lose their Dynamax for it. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. It's you definitely still have to play around it very carefully, and you can go for it anytime. So it's and I think we saw a lot of like trick Grimmsnarl during Series 7, maybe at the beginning of Series 9, which did see a lot more success in these open team sheet tournaments. And so it's no surprise that Whimsicott can do a lot of the same things on a much more hyper offensive type style of team.
Yeah, and it also gives you the benefit of like if you ever need to switch in DD to secure Tailwind against like fake out pressure, you get the free switch out of you don't get stuck on like Whimsy in DD because you don't really want to switch in anything maybe. So you get the free switch out of Whimsy, or if they try to go for fake out and to finish, if they like, especially on ladder, if they don't know your eject button, you get the free switch out after they do the second hit to Whimsicott.
Yeah, makes sense. And so I guess, like you mentioned, Whimsicott's partner in crime nowadays is almost always the Indeedee to protect it from fake out, guarantee that Tailwind, protect your other Pokemon. Can you talk me through a little bit? This is a pretty standard set, but can you tell me a little bit more about the Indeedee?
Well, the Psychic Seed, actually, I personally didn't like it for the most seasons, but then when I preferred Citrus Berry, but then when Series 8 rolled in, I kind of forced to switch out of the berry because all the unnerves of the Colorex Mons versions. So then I got used to using it and actually started to like it because it gives you a lot of it makes a lot of those for example, Tapu Fini a lot less threatening since they need the Calm Mind to be equal grounded on a special attack, and then you can Mystical Fire always then back down one level, so they never have that strong hit onto the Indeedee, so they just have to chip it away slowly. And then Indeedee could use protects sometimes, but Helping Hand is too important with to get the Naganadel going, of getting the first knockout, to get the first beast boost, to and start pressuring everything after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know off the top of your head what the EV spread does?
Yeah, it's my spread. So the HP plus defense gives you it's supposed to make you leave the Zapdos, Defiant Zapdos, like Galar Zapdos, Life or Brave Bird or Max Airstream. I don't remember which one exactly, but I have skimmed a bit, so it might be a roll, a small present roll nowadays to get the speed for Indeedee. The speed is it started with a bit less to just be faster than Dragapult, then it became fast enough to be +1 to get a second hit in on Urshifu's, because Sash Urshifu got so popular. I needed to to max Airstream and then Mystical Fire after it if it's dark, and Expanding Force if it's water, to get the one turn knockout on it. And then it increased more when Calyrex Shadow came in, so I needed to be outspeeding it in Tailwind so I can Mystical Fire and lower the special attack on that. And then after series, then I realized that you're one speed away to speed tying Modest max speed was it Celesteela, and then you just take one more and get the outspeed of Modest Celesteela, so you can Mystical Fire those now.
Sure.
So that's the speed point now. So also it gave you some weird stuff, you can now +1 to be faster than Nihilego. So you can get Expanding Force to knock out that one. So it's neat, but rarely comes up. More often it's that just be faster than Celesteela to suck out the special attack away from it.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like Celesteela is one of those Pokemon that is so difficult to power through with these type of offensive teams. So just having more tools against it is always
or it's just you just triple it as well, and then they lose, because if they Dynamaxed it on the turn you Mystical Fire, they just tripled their Dynamax, and you start getting that pressure in.
Yeah, definitely. And so moving along, I guess the next Pokemon in line is the Gardevoir. which of course I guess it seems like it was on the team just for the Trick Room in prison, but also looks like it's got a special attack stat. It's going to do some damage.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through that Gardevoir?
Yeah, the Gardevoir is started as just the basic 252 timid, be imprisoning. But then I realized, like, first of all, I needed to survive the Urshifu rapid surging strikes. So that's where the EV spreads comes in on defense. You have it's 93% chance to survive the surging strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you get. I decided because I couldn't just run 252 anymore. I just decided to do the 1 point is on the special attack, so you get 2 points for one EV, and then just slap speed to be faster than Adam and Dracovish, because that sometimes comes up if you're playing like the hyper offense. With Maylin DD and Whimsy stuff, and Dracovish, stuff like that. It comes up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the being a bit faster lets you punish a lot of Sun teams, because after some testing, I realized that in DD Gardevoir wins basically all Suns except if they have Mammothswine Regieleki. Because you can the Sun doesn't have that good of options at the start, even for just side spam of just leading double expanding forces. But then even better, because Gardevoir has Trace, you can steal away Solar Power or Chlorophyll to really start using their Sun against them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Sun, it really does have limited answers against just in DD in general. I know has a really good matchup into Sun, but having a second Pokemon that actually threatens the Grimmsnarl that's really common on those teams seems really valuable. And then having the ability to shut down the Porygon 2 and stop it from clicking Trick Room is also really valuable.
You kind of hamstring them into going speed a fast mode. And then, you have better fast mode in Beamsicott and Naganadel than what they have.
Yeah. What are some of the funniest Trace interactions that you've had?
Trace has had some. Oh yeah, my probably favorite is if you face the hyper offense of because they have to respect that you have Trick Room mode, so they lead Whimsicott and Indeedee Male, and you lead Gardevoir and you trace the Prankster, so you can imprison before they can do it to you, and then you shut down Whimsicott's way to attack at the same time. So you get they have control of the game from there, because you can just Trick Room whenever you want, so they can't click Tailwind.
Mm-hmm. That is cool.
Yeah.
I think that I faced you once on the ladder and you traced my Beast Boost and Gardevoir took 3 KOs. It was really scary.
That's the basic stuff.
Gardevoir is definitely not a Pokemon I expected to see in Series 9, but definitely pulled its weight on this team.
It has some applications also against the Moltres, Galar Moltres, because you can get the Berserk, and so if they Fury Wrath, you get +1, and then you Moonblast back.
Oh, that's also really cool.
Yeah, it has. Trace is such a cool ability.
Yeah. And then, so the next Pokemon is the Galarian Zapdos, which I don't know if there actually ever was a standard set for this Pokemon. It's always been on the fringes of play, but never really quite common enough. But talk me through why you chose this Pokemon exactly and what its set does.
Yeah. First of all, I would just want Defiantmon. First I thought I wanted something like Milotic or something to punish the Intimidate spam that was really popular. But the problem came that Milotic is too slow, and there's Rillabooms, there's Regielekis, there's a lot of things to worry about with it. And you also had to always commit your Dynamax to actually punish that you got boosts. But Zapdos has some bulk and more offense and the faster, so you don't actually have to be Dynamax to punish being intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
And then Assault Vest was just to cover so you don't get instantly wiped by Regielekis and others. Oh, and Tapu Finish, those were the main things I was concerned about.
Yeah. So this is really just the Pokemon to beat that instant Rillaboom core, or
Yeah,
is there more matchups that you'd bring it to?
Yeah, or Incy Lando, the typical your switcher keep spamming. Also, and it has some application. It's also punishes if opponent starts Snarl spamming, you just switch in Zapdos and you get free +2, and Zapdos doesn't take anything from Snarl.
True. Yeah, that's actually a really huge punish to clicking Snarl against this team.
That came up in the tournament run a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. Snarl definitely picked up in popularity towards the end of Series 9, so having a good punish to that on a team like this where you have all special attackers except for the last two Pokemon, definitely seems really valuable. And then of course the last Pokemon is the Alolan Marowak, which, like you said, it is a max speed Jolly Marowak. Can you talk me through this set and why you're running max speed?
The max speed was because Zapdos in of itself doesn't have enough attack to knock out a what is it called, a Landorus Terrian if they intimidate you, because I don't run Life Orb or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So the +1 isn't quite enough. So I needed some speed boost for some extra damage, and then Marowak could do it, and if I run it max speed, and I was always going to give it a lot of speed, so I figured just go full on, because you can no investment finish. You can be faster than those with max speed, and it's funny. It's just funny.
What speed does it hit?
106.
Okay.
So it's barely of the magical 107 to be tailwind and hit Dragapults.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a sad thing. You're almost there. You could probably get away with Adamant and max speed, but then you have to hope that the opponent isn't a Jolly Landorus, and I didn't want to. I just wanted to prep that this works 100% of the time instead of this works most of the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the only real loss is being Jolly over Adamant is you can't Helping Hand and Flare Blitz to secure a knockout on the Calyrex, not Bastier. If it Dynamaxes, you need to Dynamax yourself to make sure you get the knockout, which it's okay. You can always just use the Dynamax. You have a lot of decent options to do. All of the mons work even without the Dynamax. There's nothing like Dragapults, Thundurus, the Defiant Thundurus that doesn't just do anything if he doesn't have the Dynamax.
That's actually a really good point. That's part of why this team is so scary. Is really any Pokemon, well, not any Pokemon, but there's a lot of different Pokemon that can Dynamax on this team and exert a lot of offensive pressure. And also, none of the Pokemon feel like they're dead weight if they don't Dynamax.
Yeah, also Gardevoir even has if you trace something really good like P2 and get a download boost, and you can actually just do a lot of damage with max Starfall and max Size Shock or whatever the max Psychic move is, max Mindstorm. Yeah. Also, holding on Dynamax on this team is kind of important. If you don't have the perfect lead to opponent, you need to position yourself where you can start just snowballing with your Dynamax.
Yeah, and so I guess now that we know about the Pokemon and what they do, can you talk me through some of the common game plans for this team?
Most of the time, you kind of want to lead either Whimsicott and somebody who can Dynamax, or Indeedee and somebody who can Dynamax. For example, against the Grimmsnarl Registe's teams that topped 3 or 4 of them topped in Europe, the Registeel Blastoise and
the Team Pepsi was using.
Exactly that one. I faced him in round 6 or 7. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. there you want the Whimsy and Naganadel like to lead, and then you give your opponent a huge mind game in like you can either swap out the Naganadel to Zapdos, so if they snarl, you get an attack boost and Tailwind, and then if they snarl, your Whimsicott get eject button down, you can get Indeedee in to cover Thunder Waves and Will-O-Wisp from the Spectre, and then but you can also just helping hand max Ooze to get the Grimmsnarl out instantly. So like your opponent has to choose what their plan is, while you don't. If you choose not to Dynamax Naganadel, you probably don't get you don't have to like commit to any plan as hard as the opponent has to.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if your opponent's most Pokemons are slower than Naganadel, just leave Whimsy Naganadel and or pressure with the Switcheroo. Like they can Dynamax turn one, and then you just if you see an opportunity to get a Beast Boost for free, you can do that. But
Yeah.
Like most I don't say the team has a lot of options, which leaves like that there's game plans are kind of vague, except for probably Colossal and the Chansey team, the ladder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I need to go over how you beat Chansey. You just keep Follow Me alive, and then you win because they don't swap out.
Yeah, as long as they don't get guard swap off, the Chansey is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, but the Colossal teams are kind of in two variants, I think. Like the one is with the Moltres Galar, and the others run Dragapult Togekiss.
Yeah,
and they kind of require different things for them. Like you mostly on the what you bring in the back. While I feel like if they have Dragapult and Togekiss, you kind of have to lead Indeedee. If they don't, you get to do Whimsicott Naganadel. But yeah, Indeedee Naganadel is the probably most common way to win Colossal, and then have Zapdos and Whimsicott in the back.
Okay. And then, so how does that lead respond to just leading Dragapult's Colossal?
Dragapult Colossal is you can just kill the Colossal to get +1, and then because Indeedee has Psychic Seed, it doesn't die to one round of Gamax, Traymax, Volcafire, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can Indeedee takes a second hit. You have now Beast boosted your Naganadel. You max Airstream once, and then you bring Whimsy and Tailwind, Dragon Max Wyrmwind their Colossal. And the other variant, if you lead Whimsicott and Naganadel, you can just switcheroo their Colossal slot and just attack whatever tries to set up the eject button. I mean the self proc with Naganadel, and then you just take it from there.
Yeah. And how do you vary the leads if you're playing against the Moltres version?
Then you might want to go more Trick Roomy, so you go Indeedee and Gardevoir, and you go Trick Room, and then because you just sacrifice Indeedee on the turn 1, so you Follow Me and then Trick Room. For the turn 2, you Helping Hand Moonblast if your Indeedee lived, and if it doesn't, you bring in Marowak to Max Flare and Moonblast, and then if they lead the Colossal, then you just Trick Room again, and then you can bring Marowak at any point to Max Quake the Colossal. So you're not that worried if they actually get the self proc. So Dragapult wouldn't be that scary on that version.
Yeah. And I think those versions generally have a more defensive Dragapult anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's funny because Colossal is the one team that I feel like everyone going into Players Cup had a really concrete game plan for. They kind of knew how they were going to approach it.
Yeah, that's I think so too. And like you could see it from like how few of them actually top cut. Like you needed to have really good reads or just play really, be a really good player to get Colossal in.
I thought the opposite. I was like, everyone's game plan for this, no one's going to do well with it, and then there were still like 6 or 7 that made it to the top 16 stages across the world, and very few of them. I think only one made it all the way to global finals. But
yeah,
and so that's I guess that's kind of the way that hyper offense works nowadays. Is you have to be very flexible because the metagame is so diverse. Teams can have so many different Pokemon on them, and you just have to be able to figure out which of your tools you need to be able to beat those Pokemon that they have.
Yeah, it definitely is that way. Like if you want to play the spreadsheet kind of Pokemon, then you definitely just want to go like Colossal yourself, because it's more like you get rocks up and then you play it from there. Whereas this is more like reactive and like you play around what your opponent does more than you. And like, sure, you can snowball, but that's almost always starts from like you getting a better position through like switching or just leading better. While like the more typical of hyper offenses, like just instantly go for the same game plan every game, just get Tailwind up and start beating stuff.
Yeah. And like ideally, like in an easy game, sure, you can just get Tailwind up and you can power through your opponent's team.
Yeah, like
realistically, you're going to have to still play Pokemon even with a team like this.
Yeah, like it's good to have those like just turn your brains off. Like it's especially like in long tournament runs. I found this team like it was good that like my first few rounds were kind of like just turn your brain off, go for the Dynamax, Naganadel, get Beast Boost, win game kind of gameplay. So like I saved some mental energy for the later parts of the tournament where you get those like 5-0, 6-0 players that actually, probably have better grasp of the game than your first few rounds.
Yeah, and so I guess we'll talk about your tournament run in a minute. But first, one more thing about the team. Can you talk me through some of the strengths of the team and some of the weaker matchups of the team?
Yeah, the stronger matchups is definitely Sun is one of your best matchups, and Colossal is if your game plan works, it feels really easy, but sometimes like the opponent reads you perfectly, and then you look like you have no way of winning this game anymore. And the probably toughest matchup is the Registeel kind of team. I think I faced like 3 of them, and I only won 1 of them during top Players Cup, like the qualifier run.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like the biggest issue is that now that a lot of them adapted the Sand Tomb to hit ghosts, like you could easily. When I was laddering, still I saw just the Amnesia Iron Defense. And I could always like, okay, this is easy. I just kill everything but the Registeel and then just bring Marowak in, and Marowak wins the game because Registeel can't touch it. You just Bonemerang till you crit.
Right.
But then, as soon as they have Sand Tomb, now you actually have to, get it on the setup instead of, on the end game. So it got a lot harder on that one. So I think that's definitely your hardest matchup on the team.
Sure. Yeah, Sand Tomb is probably one of the coolest innovations that I think happened in Series 9.
Yeah.
That's such a cool way to, I think I saw Sand Tomb and I saw Heavy Slim. And both of those made it to Top Cut. And I think also both of them made it to Global Finals. But yeah, Registeel, definitely a scary Pokemon, especially when you need to power through your opponent's team. It's so good at switching into things like Max Airstream, things like Psychic moves. And then if you give it one free turn, all of a sudden you just might not be able to KO it.
Yeah, especially with team like this that's so heavily on one side of the offense. I don't have most of the time I have only physical or special attackers on the field, so it can choose the correct boost and have the proper screen up. So it's really hard to get it on the turn it comes in. So it's almost always getting up at least one defense boost up, and then you're your game plan is instant. It's so much harder.
Were there any other matchups that you want to talk about?
Is there any like Trick Room? Probably was somewhat like. Of course, you have Gardevoir, so it makes it somewhat easier. But if your opponent recognizes that you have imprison, well, which they instantly do when you're playing in open team sheet, then it becomes a lot more like mind gaming on your leads, because they lead something like for example, they just first turn Dynamax their Glastrier, and then they instantly also Nightshade. So you have to turn 2 have a plan to kill their Dusclops, so they don't get the Trick Room up. And that's where like the Marowak gaming became much more important, as you needed to have some strong attacks from the Marowak to knock out the Glastrier before they get into Trick Room.
Right. That's very insightful. It's really I think we talked about earlier. It's there aren't a ton of matchups that you can flowchart out with a team like this. You really have to figure out what tools you need for any given matchup. But that's a really good look into how you approach a lot of the common matchups. And so, I guess, do you want to talk about your Players' Cup run? You played 9 rounds of Swiss and then 2 rounds of Top Cup this past weekend, where you finished in top 16 overall. Do you have any memorable matches that you want to talk about?
Well, there's like a few. I think my last round was probably most anticlimactic. Close. Like I was 5-0 at the start of my run, only to drop 2 games into both of the opponents who played in top cut with the Registeel team. Like I've lost both games, like against Fezzi, and then I don't remember who exactly the other one was, but I still lost 2 games in a row. So I had to win the last 2 rounds of the Swiss. And then after the second last round was I don't remember anymore because it was so intense. But the last round in the end was such Sun, and they had just no answer to Sizespan plus Naganadel, and it was really anticlimactic to me that. I struggled all to 6-2, and then just get kind of handed the last win in.
I mean, we take those,
Yeah, we take those, but also after the Swiss, I checked, and probably my resistance would give me even if I went 6-3, because then my opponent would be in the top 16 with 7-2, and then I had high resistance to get in. As Europe had 2 6-3s that got in to top 16. Right. Yeah, so in the end, the whole game didn't really matter for me. I had nothing to lose, but the opponent had something to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't know for sure. You got to win that last round no matter what, just to be 100% certain.
Yeah, but as a more memorable round, I played Red Silver 1, who is a bit well-known French player. I played against him, and I just had the best luck the whole game. Game 1, I feel I had it in the bag anyway, but the end game was Naganadel and I think Whimsicott in Tailwind versus his Colossal and Urshifu, and the Colossal was full HP, and he just he didn't have Dynamax anymore, and he Aquajet critted himself. And then the game 2, he made a really good adjustment for the game from the game 1, but then I just got I thought my Celesteal, I would get his Celesteal with +1 Max Flare and a Blaze Kick from Zapdos, but in the end it wasn't even I overestimated the Max Flare damage, but then my Blaze Kick just critted and I won, got the knockout anyway. So I kind of feel that was my luck looking out for me when I make the mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play 9 rounds of a tournament without getting lucky in at least one of them. That's just how it goes.
and unlucky too. Like I had some bad luck, but it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so. Yeah, I mean, again, this is such a cool team. I love that this top cut. I remember I faced this on the ladder once in the lead up, and I was just terrified of all the Pokemon. They're also threatening, and so I'm really glad that I got some insight into what it can do, and that we can share the sea with everyone. And so thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. Do you have any final words or shout outs that you wanted to give?
Well, mostly I don't have really shoutouts since I tend to team build alone, but if you want to take the team, take your time with practicing with it, because you have to know like by heart a lot of those calcs of like what can Naganadel take and what Naganadel can knock out itself. And also I do have a lot of like public replays available for the team if people want to check out in Showdown. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Congratulations on your Players' Cup run. Really impressive. All the way to top 16 in Europe. And yeah, until next time, I will see you all later.